All right, guys. I think we're finally ready to do conditional formatting. Almost. I think it'd be cool if we add a Vermont logo here somewhere. So I think there's a pretty good spot for it. I'm gonna merge this title, merge it to those cells, at least for now. Maybe color this white. Go to the Google. Can't really see me do this. I'm gonna go find a Vermont Catamount logo. I got a pretty good one. I'll paste it in here. And let's make it a little bit smaller. It's got to fit in that box. That's pretty good. All right, perfect. Now we got it there. I want to move it up a little bit. That's fine. Yeah, this white is actually also kind of pissing me off. All right, so one thing that's important about images in Excel, same thing with charts, is you always want to go to the size and properties. Right now it says move, but don't size with cells. That means that if cells move, it'll move. I don't want it to move or size with cells. So no matter what happens, this logo will always be right here in that size. Same thing happens with charts. So if you don't select that on charts and then you start moving things around or changing row heights or column widths, then your chart is going to get really funky. So now that we've done that, I don't know why those borders are there. It's pissing me off. Now we can do conditional formatting. So there are a million different ways that we can format this stuff. This is the way that I'm going to do it. You can do it any way that you want. Remember, we have this group reference sheet here where we have a lot of general data values that we can use for our data set. We have the mean, the maximum, minimum, standard deviation, the mean +1 or -1, all the way to +2 or -2 standard deviations away, to figure out what's to help us identify what might be normal or away from normal. So what I'm going to do is I'm going to do, oh yeah, conditional formatting. You go to the conditional formatting bar here. Excel gives you a couple things, but the best way to do it is go to a new rule, and then you can kind of pick and choose and go through all these things on your own, figure out what works. What I'm going to do is I'm going to do a color scale. And I don't care about the year average. That's what I'm comparing to. I'm not going to format that. I'm going to format the most recent and the date range because that's what I want to figure out if something is going on with relative to the year average. So I'm going to select these two cells for stress, and I'm going to create a new rule for them. And you know what? I'm going to use this color scale thing. I'm going to use this color scale thing. It's pretty cool. I'm going to make it a 3 color scale. But I don't want to take the lowest value of those two. Does it make sense? Wouldn't work very well. I'm going to do a formula. And I'm going to do the same thing for the highest value. And I'm going to do the same thing for the middle value. My formula is just going to be one cell. So if I click on this area right here, my formula for the low end, I'm going to go to the group reference. And I want my floor, or that whatever that color is on the end, I want it to be 1.5 standard deviations below the average for stress. That's that cell right there. 1.5 standard deviations, stress. Likewise, my formula for the good end, I'm going to click on it, and I'm going to pick the cell in the group reference that is 1.5 standard deviations above the average, again, for stress, right here, 9. And then in the middle, I'm just going to take the average. So I click on that. I'm going to go to my group reference. We have a mean right here, stress. Boom. These colors, I think, are going to be a little bit too dark for me. So, well, first of all, I don't want anything really like yellow. I think it's going to be too colorful if I have yellow everywhere because we're going to be close to the average a lot. I want this to be white. And you know what? I'm okay with these colors for now. I'll click OK. So now, I don't know if you can see this, but these are this one's a little bit red, more red than this one, but they're both a tiny bit red. That would tell me now that in this date range and on this most recent date, our stress was a little bit lower than normal. Now I'm just going to do the same thing for sleep quality. And I have to do it for each one individually because they're looking at different pieces of information in the group reference. And this is good practice for you guys anyways. So, well, there are two different ways to do it. The first, I'll do the different way later on, but for now, I'm just going to do the same thing that I did. Select these two cells, the ones that I want to color code. New rule. 3 color scale. I'm going to do the same. I wouldn't do it this way just because if you end up making changes, like you see that I'm like selecting white here and doing a bunch of things and you have to do it over and over again and you might end up being inconsistent. It's easier to copy and paste. So I'm going to change everything to formulas. I'm going to go to the value here, the low end value, go to my group reference, minus 1.5 standard deviations for sleep quality. That's right here. The upper end, I'm going to do the same thing. Click on that, go to my group reference, 1.5 standard deviations above for sleep quality. It's right here. And then the middle, go to the group reference, sleep quality, the average. It's right here. Click that. Okay. All right, this looks like it's right around the average. This is even more less than normal compared to that one. It's a slightly darker shade of red. Now I'm going to show you the other way to do this. After you do the first set of rules, at least, is I'm going to copy what's going on here. In the energy column, or the energy row, I'm going to right click and I'm going to paste the formatting. It doesn't copy the formulas over, and you can see that here where these are still looking at energy. Now, in these two cells, I'm going to go, instead of a new rule, I'm going to go to Manage Rules. D14 to E14, that's telling me that this rule applies to D14 to E14. So these two cells. I'm going to double click on this rule here. And instead of the group reference K11, I want it to be L11, right here, where energy is. And I'm going to get out of that. And then, again, instead of K10 here, I want it to be L10 here. Switch it. Then the middle, same thing. Instead of K3, I want it to be L3. Boom. Now if I click OK, apply, OK. All right, it looks like these are both about the average, but no, energy is the most recent is lower than the average there. Okay, so now I'm just going to do the same thing that I did before. Paste the formatting. Now that's not right because it's not looking at the right things. I go to Manage Rules. Double click here. Again, Wellness, -1 standard deviations below. It's right here. U11. The high end, it's not L10 anymore. It's right here. U10. And the middle, or the average, is no longer L3. It's right here, U3. Okay, apply, okay. All right, now you'll notice since I'm applying formatting that was here, there are no borders. So there are no borders on the bottom anymore. I can quickly just I don't remember where the box was, but I can go like that, add the outside borders back to it. And now I have conditional formatting in my wellness area. Now, I'm going to leave this for now, but what I can do here is I can do similar formatting, albeit in an opposite direction, I would say, for RPE, duration, and SRPE. And that might be something that you do for a training load, where instead of red for here being a lower value to indicate like lack of preparedness or lack of energy, you might say that training stress is high is red for RPE or duration or SRP, or you may say it's green, but typically I see it being used as red if it's higher and green if it's lower. So you're gonna have to make a subtle adjustment here. So again, I'm gonna do the same thing that I did before. I'm gonna right click and copy these two cells because we already applied the formatting there. And I'm gonna paste it on the RPE. I'm gonna go to conditional formatting, and remember these two cells are selected right now. Manage rules. All right, so there's some rules being applied to D22 to E22, D22, E22, those two cells. But these aren't the right rules, as we'll soon see. So instead of group reference, instead of this being, I'm actually not, so now we're gonna run into a little bit of a problem. This is a minimum and this is a maximum. So if we want to switch this around, we're going to have to switch the colors around. And the way that you do this, at least to stay consistent, is I use the color codes because sometimes you can't pick the colors that you want to pick. So 248, 105, 107. I'm actually just going to write that down. 248, 105, 107. I'm going to write it down right here. 248, 105, 107. And then I'm going to go back into it, select these, manage rules. I only have to do this once. Again, I'm going to go into this color, go to more colors, 99, 190, 123. 99, 190, 123. Perfect. Because what I could easily do is if I go back in here and go to the manage rules, is I could say, oh, I want this one to be red and I want this one to be green. But now these colors won't match up with these colors. So there's some inconsistency there. But what I can do is I can go in here, go to more colors, 99, 190, 123. 99, 190, 123. Now that's the exact same color that I've been using throughout my graphic or throughout this chart. Everything's consistent. Okay. This one, I'm going to do the same thing. More colors, custom, 248, 105, 105, 107. All right, great. Now I have my colors right, but we still haven't changed the formulas. So we're not looking at this anymore. Group reference L11, we're not looking at the energy, but we are looking at actually 1.5 standard deviations above, so the RPE, the latest RPE, which is right here, 1.5 standard deviations above, latest RPE, 7.3, it's O10. For the low end, or for the high end, oh wait, my apologies guys. So this is 1.5 standard deviations below. So we should be looking at 1.5 standard deviations below latest RPE, which is here, 1.7 for O11. Then we're looking at 1.5 standard deviations above, which is no longer this cell here for energy. Remove that, 1.5 standard deviations above for latest RPE, O10, and then the average RPE, which is in our mean column, latest RPE, 4.5. Okay, let's click OK. Let's apply that. All right, we got a little bit of green. So over this date range, it looks like our RPE was a little bit lower than it usually is, and at least on this day, 220, it was a little bit higher than it usually is. Now what we can do here is we can just do the same thing that we have done and copy, paste, and I'm just going to go through it all just for practice. I'm not going to talk as much, but ergo slowly. I'm going to go just doing the same thing that we have done, manage rules, because now that we have our framework set up, the colors are switched. And it's key that now that I'm doing these items where higher, I want it to be red, I'm copying from the RPE, which is higher is red, whereas these ones, lower is red. So I copy the RPE, pasted it down to duration. Now I'm looking, and I'm just going to switch some things around. Latest duration, 1.5 standard deviations below. Latest duration, 1.5 standard deviations above. Average duration, right here. Okay, apply. Whoa. All right, I'll check if that's accurate in a sec. Copy the latest duration one, paste it beneath. But before I move forward with this, I just want to check this because we need to make sure that it's accurate. 67.7 should be way higher than the normal. If I go here to a group reference, latest duration, our average is 48.6. One standard deviation above is 50.4. 2 is 51.4. Wow, that latest duration is really high. Okay, 45.6, at least for that date range, is somewhat lower, but minus 1.5 standard deviations away is not that far away. It's a pretty tight range, apparently. So, and keep in mind, we haven't really cleaned out this data set yet, so there might be some outliers in there. I'm going to do the same thing. Now we're looking at SRPE. SRP 1.5 standard deviations below here, 0.5 standard deviations above here. Reference or the average right here. Let's do that. Let's apply that. That's what you'd expect because the duration and the RP both go into the SRP. So that's kind of what you'd expect here. And now that's it for now. All right, now this is a dashboard that if we change something, I don't know, 218, 2020, it's probably not a very good example. Or if I change this date to a different date, although it's supposed to be taking the most recent, maybe it's 2/6/2020. Right, things are going to change around a little bit. And based on the way that we have this set up now, we can play around with a lot of things where maybe this is 2/6/2020, and now we have different values here. So that's it for now, and we'll talk next week.